So today we're going to look more at lists and list building and some other Flutter widgets. We're going to go through the learning activity here and just build a basically like a simple pizza ordering form. So you can add pizzas to your order there. And we're going to just list out the pizzas as an example. We're not going to use a database at all. It's all going to be just stored locally for now and stuff like that. So we're just going to look at the widgets we need for displaying lists and updating lists. We'll also learn how to pop up a dialog box and how that works. I know some of you may have started this, and I've updated the instructions a little bit to make this, I think, a little bit simpler. It's complicated, especially the dialogue just seemed overly complicated the way I had set up before with drop-down list. So I tried to simplify it a little bit. So we'll see how it goes today here. So, yeah, go into the learning activity 7. We're gonna click on this GitHub repo or assignment, accept that assignment. And then we're going to get that into Android Studio. We're going to do a new project from version control and set up this project. We're going to look at 3 different sources for information as we do this. One is they'll be linked into here the documentation for the different classes. So we'll talk about like list builder and we'll look at that. The other thing we'll look at some is using AI. So I'll open up an AI window. I'll open up ChatGPT here. And we'll work with that a little bit and talk about using that. And then I also have the completed code, the sample solution here that you can use as a reference if you get lost. So again, that's just a GitHub repo. I'm going to go into the lib portion, and there'll be 2 files, a main.dart and a pizza.dart file here. Those are kind of the 3 areas we'll be using for this stuff. I'm going to just get ChatGPT going on this project. So I've got this initial project here. And why isn't it building? So when you bring in a new project, sometimes you've got to run pub.get. Remember when we were working with Java, there's often a sync within the build. We had the build.gradle files, and we had to sync those to get things up to date. Here in in Flutter, we have this pubspec.yaml file, and we have to do a pub-get. So if, like here, the starting code has all these errors in it, just often means the libraries aren't here. So if I open up the pubspec.yaml file and hit pub-get, it should download the needed dependencies or libraries, and that should clear up all the errors. So now all the errors should go away. So this code should run as is here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of set up my AI saying, I am working on this assignment with this initial code. And I'm just going to paste in the code. I usually have AI do something like tell me about this code or something like that to have it do a quick review of the code and put it better in its context here. I'm also just going to give it the large portion of the assignment here. So I'm just going to copy that in and set that up. I don't want it to do the assignment. I just want to be aware of that. So, okay, so it talks to me about this code a little bit. Here are the parts of the assignment. Paste those in. Do you understand these parts? I want to start with step 1. Can you explain this to me? So I'm pasting assignment and asking it to explain step 1. Okay, so that's one thing you can do, but I might explain step 1 to you also. So let's go and do that. Okay, so this is our class. I'm going to run this. So I'm going to just make sure I switch this to Chrome and hit run and have this open also in a window so I can kind of see it here. Okay, step 1 is to create a pizza class. It says to do it in the main.dart file. I'm actually in it, but later on for the bonus, you can move it into its own file. I actually do find it easier almost just to create it in its own file to start there. So you can in here. So here we have, again, we have our main class with our main app class here. We have our stateful widget and our state. And inside our state, this is where you do all of our work there. And so you can add the pizza class right there. At the end of all this files, you can start a new class here. Class pizza. Oops. And declare the class there. And that would be fine. I'm going to actually put it in its own file. So I'm going to go in lib. I'm going to go new file and create a pizza.dart file. Now in Dart, all files have to be all lowercase there. They have to be kind of identified. So I'm just going to call it pizza.dart here. And this is where I'm going to declare my pizza class. So I'm going to get rid of it here. And I'm going to put it there. But again, you can leave it in the main class. I'm going to have to do an import for this stuff. So, okay. So we're creating our pizza class. We want to include 4 attributes. So we want a toppings, which is a string, a description, which is a string, price, which is a double, and size, which is an integer. So in my pizza class, I'm just going to do those things. Let's see if I can. I'm just going to copy these over. A bit of a comment. Okay. I can see them. Okay, so I like how I can just paste the comment in there of what I want, and then AI generates all the code for me for that, or the API for that. So, okay, that looks good. So I need a string called toppings. I need a string called description. I need a double called price, and I need an integer called size. That all looks good. Now, for null safety, we have to initialize those. So null safety requires you to initialize all those attributes with default values. So again, strings I can just put as a null string, or I sometimes like to just put in something, a flag, so I can see that I didn't initialize this later on. And then again, the price, I can just put as 0, or have it some weird price. So it should never show up. So I know it's wrong there. And size, I can just put as 0 too. So again, I do have to do this initialization because Dart has null safety. I can't declare a variable without initializing it. So I want to have some arrays to hold some of these things. I'm not sure if arrays are the right way to do this. It probably could be in this. I'm going to have them outside my class so I can access them anywhere. So I'm just going to say final pizza sizes, pizza prices, and pizza sizes, and list those here. And so with my array here, with my size, it'll be an index into this array, these arrays. So size of 1 or 0 will be a small pizza, and it'll cost $7.99. So the cost is dependent only on the size of the pizza in this example. If I set the size to 1, that would be a medium pizza. It would cost $9.99. So that's how I'm going to use these two arrays for this. Okay. And the last thing I want to do is do a constructor, takes the toppings and the sizes here. So see if you can create a constructor here with the, again, the toppings and the size. So I just want, so one thing, again, I think I can, thought there was a way to refactor extract method help, Oh, generate, that's where it is. Generate a constructor here, and I want to do the toppings and the size as my two values here. Now, one thing that's interesting about Dart is that this is how we would normally be, we would do something like string toppings. And then inside here, we would be doing a, this dot toppings equals toppings. We pass in a toppings and we want to save it into our local argument here, there. Because that's so common, we have a shortcut for that. And so rather than doing this, I can just put this dot toppings up here as my parameter, and it will initialize it as my constructor. So I can just say the constructor with this dot toppings and this dot size, and it'll initialize this. I'm gonna move, I want this constructor. Oops, there, how about that? Okay. Now the one thing I do want to do in the constructor is set the price and the description of this. So I'm given the size here as an integer, and I want to set the price of here. So I want to say that I want to set the price to from that array. So price equals, given size is an index here. Price equals pizza price dot size. Description, I'm going to actually set this up. I'm going to use pizza sizes. I want to do a little bit more. I want to say like, yeah, maybe, I want to say like small pepperoni pizza, right? As the description. So I want to put the size there, and then I want to say maybe plus the toppings, yeah, something like that, plus pizza. That looks good. Sometimes I swear AI listens to me when I'm talking to you. So I want to say the pizza size, small or medium, a space, and then the toppings, which I'm passing like pepperoni or whatever, and then say pizza with space. So that looks good. Okay, that's my constructor for that. And again, you can put this all right in the, you don't, I have it in this separate file here. We can put it in the main.dart file just at the end also. Okay. Now we're gonna want, so in main.dart, we're gonna need an array of pizzas. So where do we put that? Here. So we need to put it down in our state here. So not our state, but actual state here. We have this add pizzas. I generally put it above that there. So I'm just gonna declare an array of pizzas. Not an array, a list of pizzas. Pizza. Called my pizzas. I'm going to use the exact name that I have here so it follows that. Pizza, yeah. Pizza in order. And to initialize the list, I just give it an empty list to start with. Now, here it says pizza isn't defined because I haven't imported it. So I have to do my yeah, I'm gonna save this. And then I'm going to import this class. So again, since I put it in a separate file, I have to add this import at the top to import my pizza.dart file. And again, because if it was just in this class down below, I wouldn't have to do this. So, okay, so I add that. We're gonna initialize our pizzas and create two dummy pizzas to start with. And so the constructor for a class is actually called initState. It's not really a constructor, but it's just this is what's called when my widget is kind of first set up here. So I'm going to want to call or define my own initState here for this. So I think it's void initState. So again, I can be looking here at how this works. So see if you can, so a couple things. Oh, I didn't link in the documentation for initState for this. So let's look at that. Oh, I know why. It's because I didn't find all that helpful. It just doesn't really show any sample code. Sometimes this is really good and shows really good samples, but for initState, I didn't think it did a very good job here. So I can look at my sample code over here, my sample solution, and see I'm calling void initState here and setting that up. For that. And then there's a I'm trying to get to, we have to do an override, and I'm trying to show you that you have to call the parent initState also in this for this. So I'm going to ask AI. We've got AI set up here. It went through how to do for, sometimes I like to compare. I asked AI to do this. How did it do compared to my solution? I'm just going to step back a little bit and look at my pizza and its pizza. So it had these two methods or lists. It had pizzas with toppings and initialized those. It initialized everything just to blank, which is okay. It added this nice comment here for the size, that this is the index in the pizza size. I actually like that comment because that is kind of implied here. That was a good thing to add. It created a constructor here. Besides adding the toppings, and it also made them required. It's interesting, I didn't do that. It added guards. I'm not about what length, how big this is, because again, we don't want the size to be more than this array size. So that's okay. I'm not going to do that. There. It set the price. So that's what I did. And it set the description to pizza with toppings. So small, it said small pizza with toppings. That's not bad. And then added the price to it. Okay. So yeah, it did similar. It had a toString that returns the description. That's a nice option. I don't have that, but I'll see if I need that. I can bring that in later. Okay, so it did that. Now I want to actually go and ask it to do this next step for this. So I'm going to ask it to do step 3. You explain step 3 to me, especially how init state works. So again, with init state here, I'm going to call init state, and I want to just create some initial states. I want to initialize my pizzas in order. So I'm going to call pizza in order dot add, and then specify a new pizza here. And again, what I need a topping. So again, like this would be a small pepperoni. Let's make it a large pepperoni pizza. Okay. Okay, this is, and it's walking through how init state works. The stateful widget Flutter has a state object in there. When Flutter first creates its state object, it goes through this life cycle called create state init state, called once right before after the state object is created, but before the widgets appear on the screen. So that's what I'm defining now here. And then build is called every time it has to be built. Init state is like the constructor for your state. It must but you must always call super.init state first inside. And so this is, again, what I haven't done. So I'm going to make sure I call inside init state. I'm going to be calling super.init state in there. And then for that, so then it goes through and I'll show me my example here with init state. And again, it has this override because we want to override the default init state. I'm going to add that in here also, and that'll make things happier. And then here's my pizzas that I'm adding to my list here. So let's see if this is working here. It is assuming I have named parameters for the toppings and the size. And I don't think I do. I just have standard parameters here that are positional for this. So, oh, I see. There's an extra quote in here that AI put in there. Okay, so that's my pizza, and I'm going to add another pizza here to my list. So here's my init state. I added the override here. I called the parent init state, and then I add 2 pizzas to my pizza order list. By calling the constructor has to match however you declared your constructor over here. And again, this is assuming, now I don't think this would actually work here. Let me just see, because of the way my constructor was set up. Yeah, so it doesn't have, so I assume, did it show me the pizza class? Yeah, so no, oh yeah. So it put the arguments inside braces here, which means they are name parameters instead. So if I wanted to switch this, and I'm not used to name parameters, so I just did it this way. If I wanted to switch this to name parameters, I would put this like here, and have them like that, and have some names, have names to them. But I did not do that, right? So I'm gonna, and I don't think I need to do that. I'm just gonna leave them like this and do my standard way of creating these. But that's why they have name parameters, is they have that part in their code. Okay. Let's do our list builder and try to build our list, and then I'll see how you're doing, and then we'll take a break, make sure everyone's caught up before we do our floating action button, because that is a bunch of code there. So let's just try to do our list builder first. So again, I have that linked in. This is what we really want to get in, is our list. Oops, I have that linked into the wrong spot, it looks like. Okay, so I'm going to go to list view here. So here's our list view, and there are different ways of doing a list view, and one is with a list builder here, and this will show inside my build how to call a list builder for this stuff, and what I can put in. And the main things I want in my list builder is an item count and an item builder objects for this. So let's go in my class. Let's see where it is. So I'm build, I have a scaffold, that's fine. I have the body, and this is where I want to display my list of my list there. When I look at when I'm running this, let's see, where am I running this at? Again, this is where I want to display my list of pizzas here. So I'm going to replace this text object with a list builder. So I'm going to, in the body, I want a list view dot builder. And again, there's some required things. I'm going to add, one of the required arguments is an item builder. I'll put that down here. So that's, and again, I can see that is one of the item builder things, and it returns an object. It's going to return a widget that's going to describe this. I'm also going to add an item count in here for this. So I want to add item count, and that should just be set to the items in my pizza order. So pizza's in order, so that should just be whatever the size. Pizza's in order. Oops. Dot length. So I have a list view builder. I have an item count and an item builder here. And in the item builder, I'm going to, let's see, what do I want to do? Okay, set up item count to the length of the list, set item builder to return a widget displaying each pizza here. And you can use a list tile to display each pizza. So let's do a list tile. So I'm going to click on that. A list tile has a title and a here and a color here. So these are some examples of list tiles or here that I can set up. Let's just wait and for this code to pop up here. Here's some different list tiles. Here I can have a logo, I can have a title, I can have a trailing. I'm going to just use the title and the subtitle as my two main things. Maybe I'll just use the title to start with. So I'm just going to put in a a list tile. So inside my item builder, I have my brackets. I'm going to return a widget, and I'm going to return a list tile. And inside, list tile, I'm just going to have the title be the description of the pizza. I'm given the index, so I'm going to grab my pizza, that index, and grab that description here. And since I'm doing a return, the return has to end with a semicolon here. And I think I'm missing a comma here. So now I think I have all my brackets set up right. Let's see how my display is showing up here. Cannot read property undefined Dart length. I'm having some problems by length of my list, it looks like. I think it really miss having multiple displays here. I think my comma pizza. No. I'm looking to make sure I have everything set up well. I'm going to stop this and run it again. Okay, sometimes if you're modifying things outside the build, hot reload doesn't work very well. So we'll see if this helps. So. Okay, that's better. So now I have my list with my pizzas displayed in my list here for this. So see if you can get this far where you've got a list of pizza objects, you've added a couple pizza objects in your init state, and then you have a list builder that does this. And then if you can, try to clean this up again. So besides title, you can add a subtitle and some other things. So see if you can get this, but this is the minimum, I think, where I can get this to work. Okay, I'm going to, I know some of you are still working on it, so I'm just going to work on this list tile a little bit to try to make it a little nicer looking here. So we just have large pepperoni pizza here for that. I'm going to add some stuff. So with a list tile, if I go look at the list tile here, that's the list view, this tile. There's a title and there's a subtitle, and I can have text for both there. So I'm going to add a subtitle in here for that. So my title, I'm going to just add a subtitle. And I'm just going to add a text widget and display, again, go to get my pizza here that I want. So pizza in order.index. And maybe display the price of the pizza. here. And let's see, it's the price is probably not a string. And I'm going to cast that to string for that. Now let's see if that works. No, I think I'm going to not cast that to a string, but I want to say dot to string. Let's see if that works. That should be better. Okay, so I'm going to say large pepperoni and that. Now, maybe I want to say price and then that. So I'm going to add price. And now I can do this, let's say. Do something like this. Now, another thing I can do, and we were just talking about this, is do interpolation. So I can stick this inside my string. And Dart people like to do this. So I'm just going to do a $sign and then put my variable there like that for that. And that should do the toString for me here. So I just say price colon, and then the $sign is to say the next, and price, the next thing will be a variable, and I put in my variable in there kind of as my string. Now as I'm doing this, yeah, I notice that my pizza here, I'm getting this pizza all the time. This is my pizza object. So is there any way to just grab that pizza object once here? And where would I do this? So like what I want to do is maybe up here, I'd want to do a, pizza, my pizza there, something like that. But again, I'm inside a call to an object. I can't declare a variable inside that. So I can't do it here. So if I do want to do it, I have to do it up above the return. Above the return, I can do it. I can say pizza, my pizza is my order.index and get my pizza here. Or maybe not my pizza, maybe I'd call it current pizza. And then once I have that, I can just say, use that in all of these references, current pizza dot this and current pizza dot price. Maybe I don't even want to do that. Maybe I just want to say, just call it pizza. Make it nice and short. And then just display pizza.description, pizza.price there. So I can do something like that for this. Now I can ask, maybe I want to do an icon. So on all these ones, they often show the output. I think the output is shown up above actually. Let's see. Like this, there's often an icon here to the right. So maybe I want to have some nice little icon over there. And so there's an icon property over here. If I switch this to code, I'll see there's an icon I can display. And I might want to do, where did I get that icon? At some point it added the pizza icon when I wasn't looking here, it looks like. AI must have done that for me. So there's a leading option here, and that's the leading icon. And then there's also a trailing icon or a field. Now, I don't have to do an icon there. I can do a text there or whatever, but I like that look. So now I have a little icon. I have medium cheese pizza price there. That all looks good. I'd like to put this so it kind of stands out elevated here. And one way to do that is put it in a card. So I'm going to wrap this in a card, I think. I could change this to a card, but I'm going to add this to a card. I'm just going to say, and again, I'm going to say refactor. Nope. Can I show context? I can wrap this. So there's not an option to wrap it in a card here. So I'm actually going to wrap it in a center there and then put it in a card, I think. So let's look at card here. So over here, I said you could do, okay, you can also use a card. So this is a card, this kind of rounded stuff here. You simply say, you have a card and a child under it there. So I just want to do that. I want to put, rather than list, I want to say, I'll just do this manually first, card. And then I'm going to say child. And then list the list tile as the child. And then I need to add a parenthesis down there to get everything to match up. I'm going to put this on its own space, indent it a little bit there. And again, so that takes a lot of work. A faster way I find actually for doing this is to do the, I don't know if this is, okay. So if I had this, I can right click, I can say, wrap it in a center, and it shows it's a child. So I'll wrap it in a center, put the child here. And then once I have it in a center, I can just change center to card. And it'll be all formatted correctly. So, okay, so here's my card. So that just put these kind of boxes around each one. And maybe I want to change the card color and stuff. And then there are also times here where I need, I just ask AI for help a little bit to clean up or do something like they're not familiar with, like the color. So, okay. I am working on the card for displaying the pizza. How do I change the card color? And again, it's nice because this AI I've been using already, so it should kind of know where I am in this whole project and what I'm trying to do, what level code I'm at. So it talks to me about the common colors here, dynamic colors, stuff like that. But it just has a card color here for me to try out. So I can put that in here in my card. I can do a card, oops. Inside a color, I'm going to do a color there. And that should update that. So each card now is a little different color. I like that look here. And then AI is also say, well, as long as you're doing it, maybe you want to do some more for elevation and some more for rounded corners. I'm going, I don't know, let's try that. So I can go back over here and try these other things. I can do my elevation and rounded corners here. And then they're more rounded, and my elevation, my drop shadows are more. That looks good, actually. So I'm going to stick with that. So again, now here's my card and my list tile inside that card in my display. So none of that is required, but so. Okay, the last thing we want to do, and this is the most complicated part, is I want to hit plus here and add a pizza. Now, when I hit plus now, I think it just prints out something. Now, where do the printouts go? If I look at the code here, plus add, let's look at, I have a floating action button here. When I call on press, it calls add pizza. Add pizza is up here, and it just prints this out. Where does it print it out? There should be a log cat down here And I thought it would be putting it, maybe, does it print? I thought it was printing it out to logcat. I don't think I have logcat set up correctly because it should be there. Unless unless I'm running it on a web place, and then maybe I have to go and look at my developer tools and look at my console there. Yeah. So it is, since this is a website, if I was running this on like an Android device, it would show up in Logcat here, I think. But since I'm running it in a web browser, I have to bring up my developer tools. Have you guys used developer tools before in Chrome? Okay. So again, in Chrome, I don't know if you can do it. You can go down here and go to more tools, developer tools. It pops up this window. You can inspect the different elements, but you can also look at console and you can see the outputs of the log statements and stuff from the website. So again, here add pizza has been called 4 times here. It's not showing anything else. It's just incrementing that for now. So. Okay, so I know this add pizza is being called, but it's just not doing anything yet. So we're going to want to set this up. Now, I'm not sure. Do you have the floating action button in your code by default or not? It is there? Because, yeah, I couldn't remember. Okay, good. And it's calling add pizzas like that. Okay. So we're going to add a show dialog here. And I'm actually just going to take this code and put it in that in add pizza. In add pizza here. I'm going to paste this code in here. So we're going to call show dialog for this thing. I think I want that void there. Yeah. Show dialog void. Again, show dialog is to show dialog thing and get rid of some stuff. Okay. Show dialog lets us pop up a dialog. There's different kinds of dialogues that you can pop up to show different things here. So we're just doing a show dialog, and there's some required. You have a context and you have a builder here. The builder has to return a dialog widget. So we're calling alert dialog widget. Alert dialogs have a title and then a content. And inside content, we want to call what is called a stateful builder, which builds. And when this is where we're actually going to put this. And then there's some actions. We'll get to that in just a sec. So this is just kind of a standard format for a show dialog stuff. So now if that's running, is that running somewhere? So if I hit this, it pops up the dialog. When I hit plus, it pops up this little dialog, and the title is build your pizza, and put input widget here is where we want to put this. So what do we want to display there? So that's what we're going to want to update. So see if you, again, I just in add pizza, I just pasted that show dialog here. And again, for this return here, we want to return a better set of widgets here for this. So the builder must return an alert dialog widget that should include a title. We have that already. And a content which will include, and so this is why I want to do a text field and a slider. So I'm going to put those inside a column with the children. So that's rather than this text widget here, I'm going to replace that with a column. For this. And then inside my column, I'm going to specify the children. I'm missing a parenthesis in here, and because I have to get the semicolon has to match up with my return here. So I want to make sure I've got that row. Column, paren, children there. And so inside the children of the column, I want to specify different things. I want a text field here for my pizza toppings here. I just want to have them enter a string and store that in here. So I want as my text field. Now, if you remember with text fields, the one thing we have to do is specify a controller for those, a variable that we will use for these things here. So I want to specify a controller and list that. I always forget how to format these text fields and controllers. So I need a controller. So up here, I'm going to have to, and again, where to put this, I think right before the return, well, only place I can declare things is before I do a return. Inside my builder, I start coding, and then I can declare variables up here. And so I want to declare my text fields up there. I'm going to look, this time rather than look at AI, I'm going to look at my sample code here and see what I have. So here's my title, here's my content, here's my builder, here's my column, children, here's my text field here. And I have a controller, and I declared the controller up here just as a text edit controller for that and created a new one. So up here, I'm going to oh, I have this print up here. I can do it up there. I'm going to do it up there, I guess. I'm going to do a text edit controller. Yeah, that looks good. Rather than just calling it controller, this is going to be the toppings controller. Starting it with underscore will mean it's a local variable. That's fine here. And then down here, I'm just going to specify the controller is the toppings controller. So I've declared my controller up here, and then I'm using it down here. Now with the text field, I can fill it in with some hints or something like that. I'm not going to do that right now. I'll just keep this simple here. The other thing I want is oops. A slider to select the pizza values. And here's the example of a slider. Oops. Again, we haven't talked about sliders yet. In the first instructions, the original ones, I used a drop down. There are some drop downs are just a little hard to use in here, it seemed like. So I switched this to a slider. So I'm going to grab this slider and let's walk through this code. So I'm going to add this. So I've got in the children, I got my text field. I want to do a comma, and I'm going to add my slider for this. How do I clean up my code here? Code cleanup. There. Oops. Maybe that's not what I want. I just want to reformat my code. Here. There. Okay. So with my slider, I'm going to need a temporary variable to keep track of the size. So up here with same place where I have my print and my things, I'm going to need a size. So what is the size? If I go look at Dart, the pizza, The size is an int. So I'm going to keep track of an int and give it some name, temp size, give it some initial variable because of null safety, and use that down here. So I called mine temp size. So I changed this. I'm going to just redo it here. So, okay. So temp size. So my slider is going to pop up. The value is going to be, the initial value is going to be from the temp size. The minimum is 0. The maximum is the length of my pizza size here. And then again, the divisions, I want that division for each one as I slide through. And then on change, this is when I move the slider, I'm going to just save the new value. And again, this is actually a double. I'm going to round it and save it into my temp size variable. So as I move the slider, this temp size will be saved. Anytime I reset variables inside my stuff, I need to surround them with a set state. So this is, we put a set state around this here. So let's see, if I click here, I should have a spot to enter my pizza size here. And then my slider should have 4 options here. Now, I'm using pizza length. I could actually have just put 4 in here or something like that as the, actually the length, the max is 3 because 0, 1, 2, 3 are my 4 sizes. So I could have just put 3 in here and 3 in here, but I don't mind it using this stuff. If I would have done it myself, I had AI generate this at some point. It did this. I let that look good. But if I were to do this myself, I would have just put in the max of 3, and then this, I want 3 divisions in here too. So that would work also. It should pop up the same thing with my divisions. Okay, so I got my alert pop up. I have my title, I have my content, and I'm doing a stateful builder here for that. Now for my actions, I need to add some buttons down at the bottom. So we're going to add let's see, where are we at here? Add an elevated button that's going to add the order to the pizza here. So I'm going to add an elevated button here down in my actions. So under my actions, again, there's just an array of action widgets here. So I'm going to say elevated button. And it needs an on press and a child. Both those look good. I'm going to put those on separate lines here. The child, I'm going to just have as a text widget, maybe text add pizza. I don't know, something like that. And on press, I'm going to want to add do that. So what am I going to want to do here? So I can add another method here. I'm inside my add pizza method. I could add another add pizza method here. Or can I just put my code here for this? So can I just put code for this? So can I just say, I'm going to add this pizza to my list. What is my list called? My list is called pizza in order. So basically, I want to do something like this. Pizza is in order and add a pizza. So can I do that down here for this? I have to put it in braces here. I want to do this actually kind of as a Lambda function for this. So what what I'm going to do is define a kind of a really blank function, a lambda function. It's not going to have a name. It's for parameters, it's not going to have any parameters. So no name and empty parameters. So that's what that is. And then my beginning of the code and end of the code here should do that. Oops, let's see, I did something wrong here. There. So again, I'm defining this really simple function here, inline function, kind of, where no name, empty parameters. I just start the code and end the code here, and then I put my one line of code in here. Rather than creating another little function for this, I'm just doing it right here, right? So I'm just saying, now, I'm creating a new pizza. I don't want it to be pepperoni all the time. I want to use, what did I call the toppings here? I'm going to get from the toppings controller, I'm going to get the text. So toppings controller dot text. And then the size, where did I save the size? In this temp size variable. So rather than saying 2, I'm going to save that to temp size here. So now should add the pizza to my list based on what I put into the text box and then the temporary size I've added. So let's see if I do that. My add pizza now is now down at the bottom. I can say something here. I can specify size. And if I hit add pizza, it should add it to my list. Now, I didn't close this yet. So I can go back here, but I didn't close this. So how do we get that to close? So in our instructions, it says you can do this navigator pop content to close. So I'm actually going to break this into a couple of lines here. I'm going to do that and do this and then that. It's already telling me to do a set state because again, this isn't going to work exactly because I'm not putting this inside a set state. And AI was just hinting at that, which is good. So what this will do is on press, I will add the pizza to the order and this pop will pop the dialog off the list. So again, I should be able to do here, I should be able to add pizza. So again, second try, pizza size, add pizza. Now notice it didn't update this here, but it has my previous one. When something caused this to refresh and it was in my list. So if I were to refresh the screen, I will get my new pizza here. Oops, actually that refresh wiped out my whole list. But again, the problem is that I'm not calling set state in here. So with my elevated button, whenever I add something to my list here, I want to put this in a set state variable. So I want to surround this with a set state for this. Once I do that, hopefully I can say I want something on my pizza. I want a really big pizza, add it to my list. It'll close and it'll add that to my list because I updated my state. So now let's look at a couple other alternatives. So let's first look at the code, what I have here. We show dialog, we have built alert, Here's our column, our children. We added a text field for the toppings. So we actually added the text field. We added a decoration, a label that says toppings. That's useful. A spacing box up there, and then the text for the size here. So we're actually displaying that, and a slider here. So it's a little different. And then here's our button. This solution added a cancel button here and then a on press. So again, we actually created our new pizza here and then added that new pizza to a list. Here I added the pizza right inside the add pizza list. So just a different way of doing it. Here's my set state and here's my pop. So that all looks good. Let's have AI do this and see how AI does this. I'm trying to remember what step was this. This was step 5. And you walk me through step 5 with adding a pizza with the floating action button. And again, it should walk me through this code. It's creating the add pizza. It's adding this text controller at the top and temporary size index. Again, that looks very familiar to what we have here. Show dialog. Here's our dialog here. Children is our text field. It has our control. It also has this decoration here to show what it is with a hint. That's nice. A size box for spacing, and then here's our slider, a little more field, and here's our on change button. We're setting state and we're updating that. Yeah, so that the slider is similar for this. So, and here's our action. Again, they have a cancel button. Apparently that's common here. I'm not used to that. An elevated button with on press. We create our new pizza here, and then we add the pizza to the list in our set state, and we close the dialog here. But again, here we'll walk you through all of that, and you can ask more questions about it. So, okay. So see if you can get this done. I'll leave the code up here somewhat. Again, this is similar to what the sample code is and similar to what AI will get to it. I think mine's still a little simpler than those, but it's good. And I'll wander around, see if we have help, and we'll talk just briefly about the assignments this week, which are similar to this. So that should be everything we need to do here. Again, we added our pizza class. We declared our list of pizzas. Again, eventually we'll want to, but like we should be using Firebase or a local database to store this. But right now we're just using our list here. And we in our initialization init state, we are adding a couple sample pizzas to our list. We added our list builder that displays a list tile. I actually put a card around the list tile to make it prettier, but you don't have to do that here. And then we added our floating action button, and we pop up a dialog, and inside the dialog, we're going to display that's what this is. We enter this. Now, again, I should probably have a text up here that says like toppings, and then have this, or else a hint for this that says toppings. And also this, not clear that this is the size. So again, I could clean this up a little bit. In fact, if you look at either the solution that the AI generated or the solution I have, they have like when they're popping up the text field, they have a decoration that says toppings. So you can add that, but again, I'm keeping it simple for now here. And then again, we added our button, and then when their button, we add the pizza to a list, and then we pop it off for that. So a couple things here. I did this already. The first one, I moved pizza into its own class there. You can also do things like display the price of the pizza using a subtitle attribute. And I'm doing that here also. I'll mention one more thing that we'll get into is just so when we're seeing this code, our file, our main.dart is getting kind of long here. So we have to add pizza as its own class, which is helpful. But like here, my card, this is all to display one pizza. This is in my list viewer. This is my card for one pizza. And it's not really clear that that is, but I mean, and I can actually pull that off into its own widget. So eventually we'll look at, okay, here's this one card and I want to modify it. I'm just going to break it up. We could put it in its own file, but we can also just put it, extract it into its own widget in this file here. And in fact, I think if I just right click on it and show context, I can, maybe not. If I show context, there's a way to do this. Refactor. Yes. So I can click on it and do refactor, and I can extract as a method or as a Flutter widget here for this. So I'm going to just extract this as a method, for example, and call it pizza card here. You don't have, I just want to show you this. We'll do this more later on, but that will create a pizza card, move this down into a pizza card thing that returns a card. I actually like this to return a widget, so I often will replace this with the generic widget here, or return a widget. And then here's my pizza card. So now I can just edit my pizza card here, and then my build here looks a little simpler here. I'm just returning the pizza card here for this stuff. You have to worry about it's passing the pizza down to this. So I'm just giving a pizza and it's displaying that pizza, which is kind of nice interface to this. Okay, but again, you don't have to, and we'll talk more about how to, as we build more complicated things, we'll start breaking the components out into their own little widgets. So, okay, let's talk about the assignments this week. I'm going to go here. So you have two choices here. You can do this XKCD comic displayer widget, or you can do this Car Godboy artwork one. And this one just uses our list view like we've been doing with images and displays an image here. This one uses what's called a page view. Page view is probably what you're more used to on social media now, where you have a whole page and then you just swipe and the whole page switches over. So it's just like a list view, but it does a whole page at a time, all screen at a time, kind of like that. So I wanted to show you that but similar stuff, item count, item builder, that sort of stuff here. And then a simple controller you define. So you can do either one of these as your assignment. So, all right. I'll let you work either finishing up again. Owen, remember to push this. So over here, I want to go to here. I've changed these files. Done with learning activity. Go to my little message. I'm going to commit, push. It's going to say, oh, wait, you have warnings. I'm going to say commit anyway. And you sigh when you do that. And then you push. And it should say 2 files committed. So, and then under here, it shouldn't show any changes left. So make sure you commit and push those things. Okay. Stop recording.